Daily news. For those of you that don't know, my name is Ethan. Today we're going over a new ice age discovery that's occurred over in Europe. And we are streaming on both Rumble, YouTube, and Kick. So from the sun.com, hidden history, bones of prehistoric hippo that roamed UK 120,000 years ago, found under castle in discovery that rewrites history. Whoa. Okay. So 120,000 years ago is towards the last stages of the Ice Age or the Pleistocene epoch. So during this time, there are a wide variety of different species of Ice Age megafauna that exist over different parts of Europe, Asia, North America, even over in different parts of South America and Africa. And this is still somewhere around 80,000 years before the large marsupials of Australia would go extinct. So they're still thriving. Wow. This is pretty insane that this occurred underneath a castle. Is that a molar of some herbivore? Oh, okay. So archaeologists have discovered the bones of a 120,000-year-old hippopotamus in a once in a lifetime discovery. Digs at the cave under Pembroke Castle revealed an extremely rare site teeming with evidence of early humans and woolly mammoths. Well, woolly mammoths did, there is hardy evidence in other areas of England that woolly mammoths did exist over in the country as well as across the whole British Isles. So, including Ireland, Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, Isle of Man, throughout different parts of the Pleistocene. Also, when it comes to woolly mammoths, they're about the size of an Asian elephant. They're pushing around 5 to 6 tons and not much more than about 9 to 10 feet in height. There were larger species of proboscideans that existed in the region. The proboscideans are the lineage of the different species of elephants that have existed at least since the Paleocene epoch over 62 million years ago. So, go a bit further. Wow, that's really interesting. Okay, so this is over in Wales specifically. So that is quite astounding. Also, the habitat would have been completely different at this point. You would have had a wide area of just essentially the mammoth steppe. So, quite a lush grassland for these different species of rhinos, elephants, now hippos in the region. Hippos are not often talked about when it comes to the Ice Age, especially over in different parts of Eurasia, mainly due to the fact that they weren't there for much of the period. Actually, let's also bring up maybe the Merck's Rhino. So MERCK apostrophe S and then RHINO. Sometimes rhinoceros can be a bit puzzling to spell, but this animal was slightly larger than today's southern white rhinos over in southern and eastern Africa. The Merck's Rhino was somewhere around 3 to 4 tons.
Why does this thing look real?
Um, well, either somebody did their own kind of model with the rhino, but it looks like they mixed a bit of the black rhino and maybe even possibly like the greater one-horned rhino to make the Merck's Rhino look, which it does have a bit of a sort of, I guess you could say black rhino and greater one-horned rhino from India sort of appearance, but it's also likely it would have been slightly furry, considering it did live in some of the more cooler regions of Eurasia. Now, there were different cooling and warming events throughout the Pleistocene epoch, and the Pleistocene started around 2.4 million years ago and would end abruptly at around 11,000 years ago. Oh, yeah, this is definitely a much more furry specimen. They are related to the more recognizable woolly rhinos of different parts of Asia, as well as Europe, like the Coelodontia species or even the Elasmotherium. Except the Elasmotherium, if it does have a horn, it's just a fairly short horn at the tip of its snout.
Okay, this guy looks
Whereas
like a cartoon.
Coelodontia has the larger two horns and practically the largest horns, probably of any species of rhino that we know of. Um, Yeah, the Merck's rhino, the Stephanorhinus specifically, is or for some reason has horns that are a bit structured more similar to today's black rhinos over in Africa, which is quite interesting. It might be slightly more closely related to the black rhino than certain other species, but it also seems that the one horned elasmotherium, as well as the coelodontia with the larger home range compared to Stephaninus, is much more close related to the southern white rhino. I mean, the Sumatran rhino over in Indonesia, as well as the Javan rhino compared to other species. So it is quite interesting. Also, this is around the times it's was one of those warming events where the hippo, specifically hippopotamus amphibius, left Africa and made it into different parts of Europe and thrived throughout different parts of southern Europe as well as up into the British Isles. They weren't really any larger or smaller, it seems, than today's hippos over in Africa. So around the same size, so pushing 2.5 to 3 tons. Likely omnivorous as well. You also had cave hyenas over in England at this time too, pushing well over 250 to 300 pounds. Why isn't this moving? Oh, we're in a picture.
I wonder what made somebody decide to start digging under the castle.
Project will be expanded for the next 5 years to discover more about human history. Um, why aren't we looking into more of the other animals? Researchers found evidence of early humans and animals under the medieval castle.
No, those
Yeah,
people were just buried there.
yeah. That's weird. Why can't I move anything? Oh, oh, it's a woolly rhino molar. I really thought it was a hippopotamus. That's interesting. I guess I got to review my teeth. That can occur when you're looking at different species of herbivores, despite them being quite distantly related to each other, and you can mistake their molars. Excavation work at Wogan Cavern under Pembroke Castle has revealed the cave to be a treasure trove of prehistoric remains. The truly historic site has been subject to further digs in the past few years since the bones of a 10,000-year-old woolly mammoth were found under the castle in 2022. Whoa, wow. Okay, this castle is holding several gems. This is interesting, and also at the very end of the ice age that this occurred. Actually, technically afterwards. Interesting. It was entering like the younger Dryas event when that mammoth died. I mean, there were still other regions of the world. There were just small populations of mammoths, woolly mammoths specifically, Mammuthus primigenius that existed, especially on different islands. But England, as well as much of Europe, they went extinct around 11,000 years ago. There were certain small elephant species, especially over on the island of Sardinia, which is an island off of the coast of Italy, and as well, I believe the what's it, the Cyprus elephant, specifically that lived over in that region. Also, let's bring up the large moose that exist in this region, which is a completely different species from today. Okay, Cervalsis, so Cervalces, and then separate word Latrifons. So Cervalsis latrifons. Today we have Cervalsis cervalsis. This animal, also known as the broad-headed moose, and it had a very different sort of a antler structure compared to any species of deer today. And I'd say the Ice Age, like the Pleistocene and even the earlier Pliocene epochs. The Pliocene extended from about 7.5 million years ago to about 2.5 million years ago. And it scored a wide range of different species of deer that had very different antler structures from today's um, s- Cervalcidae species. Now, it does seem to have been slightly larger than today's moose. Yeah, I mean, this is the species. I was thinking of Cervausis scotti, which is another species of moose. So this animal didn't just thrive in different parts of England. You could find it across Europe, Asia, and into different parts of North America, like the Alaska, Yukon, possibly even to Alberta as well. So this animal probably stood at around 7.5 feet to 8 feet in height, or pushing a little over 2.4 meters, and probably weighed close to 2,200, 2,500 pounds, or a little over 1,200 kilograms. It was likely feeding on somewhat similar foods to today's moose. I mean, maybe it's likely taking advantage.
Doesn't look that big in that picture.
Yeah, unless I'm, mixing up the size with the Cervalsis. Oh, wait, this is Scotti. This is Elatrophons.
I put the wrong one up.
I mean, he did exist in, the area, but, yeah, technically, that's not Latrophons. Um, no, the other moose species was definitely much taller. This seems to be close to the size of today's. Whoa, okay. Oh, okay, well, that's just another reconstruction, unless that was just an undersized Scotti. All of these moose are at least as tall, if not taller than today's moose, but most reconstructions that I've seen, they tend to be um, reconstructed as just much larger and at least a foot taller. I mean, you can have it where moose in Alaska or the Yukon can reach somewhere around 7 feet in height, or pushing over like 2.1 meters. And these animals were much larger. They're also having to deal with much larger predators, especially Eurasian cave lions at this time, which occurred over in England. And well, actually, they covered Europe and Asia, as well as
Someone put up
different
a
parts.
reconstruction standing next to it.
Yeah, that looks pretty good. Wonder where this occurred.
I don't know, but that thing is scary.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it has almost like a sort of an elk, like a North American elk. And I guess you could say what Megaloceros or a red deer, sort of a mix to it. It doesn't the legs and the structure of the hooves or the feet do give a bit of a moose sort of appearance to it, but the rest of the animal, as well as a little bit of a bell, it doesn't really give a moose sort of a um persona, which is odd. It is quite interesting how these animals went from having more just typical sort of um red deer or white-tailed deer or even elk sort of snouts, or just overall muzzles, and then all of a sudden today's moose appears and it's completely different. Even when you look at reindeer, they have very distinct muzzle structures compared to other species of deer. Now, reindeer did exist, or they have existed for quite some time since the Ice Age, and they haven't changed too much. It still actually is a bit of a debate as to whether or not there are certain completely different species of reindeer or caribou over in different parts of Canada, as well as Europe and Asia, or they're just separate subspecies. I'm guessing this is another Cervalsis, is this Latrophons? Might be him, because this looks more of like a moose. I do wonder why they're not really giving that bell that you see on the necks of today's moose, especially bull moose, which is very interesting. Um, yeah, I don't mind the reconstruction, but I will say that there isn't much of like that bloatedness that you see in today's moose, especially around the nose region. It's a bit closer to an elk. I still think it's a good reconstruction. This animal did go extinct with the other different large moose species around 11,000 years ago, but beforehand, it had been thriving for several 100,000 years. Okay, let's take a look at what else they found. Also, probably a target for probably larger subspecies of today's gray wolves, so the Pleistocene wolves, not the dire wolf, which is a species of wolf that existed over in the United States, especially different parts of the western central part of the country. But that was Anocyon, so a completely different genus from Canis. So now archaeologists have made their most significant discovery yet with the revelation of a hippopotamus which roamed Wales 120,000 years ago. There is no other site like it in Britain. It is a once in a lifetime discovery, said Dr. Rob Dinas, who directed the initial excavations. Yeah, this is quite astounding, finding this underneath a castle. You could say to an extent that it's not necessarily too surprising that this occurred, but I think it's just the amount that has been discovered and the fact that nobody else before them, even with the construction of the castle, happened to come upon them or they didn't realize what they were looking at. It's almost a bit hard to believe, though. As well as animal remains, researchers have also found evidence of early humans and possibly even Neanderthals under the medieval castle. The landmark discoveries mean the University of Aberdeen project has now secured funding to delve deeper into the enormous cave over the next 5 years. Despite the limited work done so far, we can already say that Wogan Cavern is a truly remarkable site. Not only is there extremely rare evidence for early Homo sapiens, there are also hints at even earlier human occupation, probably by Neanderthals. Okay, let's see who else. There is no other site like it in Britain. Is a once in a lifetime discovery. Also, when it comes to the Ice Age over in England, much of Europe, you also had the steppe brown bear at this point, which I guess let's look him up. It's a bit of a debate as to whether or not it's its own species. Um, STE. Well, there's two P's.
Mm.
Yeah, and then E.
Mm.
Yeah, STEPPE for step. And then yeah, just brown bear. Whether it's its own specific species or it's just its own unique subspecies of brown bear. So it's still going to be very genetically distinct from other brown bear populations. And Ursus arctos, so today's brown bear, did exist during the Ice Age. A wide variety of different animals in both the northern and the southern hemispheres already existed. You had it where bush elephants in Africa today already existed during the Ice Age, and even the forest elephant as well. Oh yes, we had the cave bear that also existed, not just in different parts of Europe, Asia. There, cave bears are, or there have been certain specimens that have been found in different parts of Poland, I believe Slovakia, Austria, and I think northern Italy, possibly Switzerland, England as well. The cave bear was about the size of today's Kodiak brown bear, so pushing around 1,400 pounds or a little over 670 kilograms. But the step brown, it's even has here Ursus arctos priscus. So it's very possible it was just maybe a somewhat larger subspecies of brown bear. There are certain estimates of the animal weighing more than 2,000 pounds or a little over 950 kilograms. So pushing the size of a large polar bear. It did mention the short faced bear in that picture. Arctodus simus is strictly or is restricted to North America. This step brown bear bullies a pair of cave hyenas. Oh, off Megaloceros. Oh yeah, the in quote Irish elk, and it's not related to North American elk. It's not close. Well, it is, but it's not closely related to them. Nor is it closely related to the moose. It's actually more closely related to today's fallow deer, which are not native to much of Europe in general, even today. Um, it was just simply due to the ancient Italians bringing them over from Turkey and then just spreading them out throughout the continent. But I think that occurred like around 2,000 years ago. Beforehand, the Irish elk back in the Ice Age roamed practically most of Europe as well as different parts of Asia. But I don't believe its range extended all the way into different parts of Central Asia, Siberia, the extreme east Russian coast.
Okay, how is a lion possibly this big?
Um, well, the American lion could possibly reach as much as 1,000 pounds, or
That thing
even
has a mane.
the mane on a lion.
Yep.
Well, Eurasian. The problem with this is that Eurasian cave lions and American lions, looking at details of their neck analysis, it doesn't seem like these animals had the ability to grow a mane. Maybe there's a bit of a puffiness on sides of their skull, like with what you see in tigers today. But even then, it was probably just a bare. I mean, there was, a dense layer of fur, but outside of that, there wasn't anything like a mane showing. So, could Eurasian cave lions have taken on like something like a steppe brown bear, a cave bear by themselves? Probably not. But, a pride, if they hunted in prides, that's still up for debate because at the moment, we don't really have a lot of evidence showing that these animals would have hunted in prides. But considering they're coexisting with mammoths, larger rhinos, there are Ice Age horses, like similar to today's Przewalski's horses. You even had over in Europe, I guess we should look this animal up too. The giant tusked or straight tusked elephant, Paleoxenon antiquus. So Paleoxodon. There are a few species. I guess we could put the approximate one. ANT, separate word. IQUITATUS. There were a few different species of Paleoxodon, but at least in England so far, we've
What is this supposed to be?
Paleoxodon antiquus, or
What is it?
wait, it's straight tusked elephant.
Okay. I was making sure I had the right thing.
Um, what was the other thing? Well, it's like they gave it the same species name as Coelodonte, that the more famous woolly rhino, which roamed much more of Asia than certain other species of rhino, like the Stephanorhinus. This is practically Paleoxenon. The tusks, however, would have probably have been much longer, but this is not a bad model sticking partially out of the wall. This animal existed well over 400,000 years ago during the Ice Age. Um, this might not be specifically the larger species. It might be a smaller species of Paleoxenon. No, wait a second. It's saying Elephas antiquus. So is this like a modern elephant? That's a bit of an odd skull structure, especially with the tusks. I don't know. Elephas antiquus, I believe that that's the Asian elephant, which the Paleoxodon is closely related to. And it is also closely related to today's elephants over in Africa. But it had its own niche over on the mammoth steppe, but still likely in different areas, probably fed on different species of grasses compared to woolly mammoths. Also thrived in warmer regions. So it is likely, though, it did coexist with the large megaloceros deer, as well as the Merck's rhino, maybe also earlier in its evolution, and the Elasmotherium, as well as Eurasian cave lions, the Homotherium, the saber-toothed cats existed over in different parts of Europe and Asia too. Well, Homotherium you can find over in Alaska and the Yukon as well. Smilodon fatalis, however, Smilodon populator, the more famous saber-toothed cats from North America, however, did not coexist with the cave lions, maybe in the very northern part of their range over in North America, so possibly parts of southern Canada. They possibly came into contact with any cave lions that traveled that far south, but they probably weren't as much of a threat to them compared to American lions that Smilodon had to deal with consistently further south over in different parts of the western and central United States. The cave lion was only about 5 to 600 pounds, or a little over 270 kilograms. Wow. This is actually a very good painting of the Paleoxodon. It really has that distinct, almost like a Columbian mammoth and not, I wouldn't necessarily say a woolly mammoth. I mean, all of them have shorter ears, but it's like a Columbian mammoth and somebody else. Maybe the southern mammoth that I'm thinking of. But yeah, I like this painting of this herd just moving through a forest.
Okay, it says this guy is a prehistoric otter. Uh,
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, well, that's another representation. Here, there's a bit more
That is
size
not a
to it.
representation of a prehistoric otter.
No. There were large otters during the Pliocene epochs. But yeah, this is not a member of the Mustelidae lineage of mammals. Um, Now there were giant otters over in the island of Sardinia at this time, which could be well over 130 pounds, actually possibly even pushing as much as 200 pounds, or a little over 90 kilograms. And they were feeding on large sharks. Well, not necessarily large sharks, but probably certain species of sharks in the region. Maybe, um, definitely other species of mollusks, but possibly hunting certain terrestrial mammals as well. There were certain other large otters existed over off the coasts of South America, possibly also further inland as well. And I believe certain parts of North America and Africa, and pushing well over 400 pounds, certain instances, or a little over 180 kilograms. Now, talking about Paleoxodon, this is the largest species of mammal to exist. So it could reach somewhere around 15 to 17 feet in height.
Wait, you're not saying ever.
Well,
Largest
I,
animal to exist ever?
I thought I said mammal.
Oh, I thought you said animal.
Yeah, Paleoxodon probably weighed around 20 to 25 tons and pushed between 4.5 to 5 meters in height. So let's see if they found anything else. With this new project, we can learn a great deal about our early prehistoric forebears, about how they lived and what their worlds looked like. The Bountiful Cave is assessed via a spiral staircase from Pembroke Castle, thought to have been dug out in the Victorian era. It had long been assumed there was little interesting archaeological material left at the site, but limited excavations between 2021 and 2024 revealed an abundance of prehistoric material, as much of the sediments remain intact. Dr. Dinas, a Paleolithic expert who will continue to lead the project, said he hoped they could chart a long sequence of human activity from hunter gatherers living there immediately after the last ice age around 11,500 years ago. Um, there seems to be not much excitement or enthusiasm towards the other animals. We have also found hippo bones, which probably date to the last interglacial period, around 120,000 years ago. The site could therefore tell us about how multiple changes in climate and environment affected people living there over 100,000 years or more. John Williams, Pembroke Castle manager. This is incredibly exciting news for everyone at the castle. We have watched with great interest as Wogon Cavern has started to reveal its secrets. It's very different from the medieval history we usually deal with at the castle.
Well,
Yeah,
I
I'd
would
say it's a
think
bit more
so.
thrilling. We're thrilled that work on this wonderful cave will continue. We very much look forward to working more with Rob and his team in securing the collection for the people of Pembroke, Wales, and beyond. New excavations are scheduled to begin at the end of May, with archaeologists optimistic it will become one of the most important prehistoric archives in Britain.
Now, did someone start trying to build a bat cave and then found a bunch of bones?
Um, yeah, it seems that way. Well, the weird thing is there hasn't really been any um pictures showing the hippos that they found. They showed us a molar of a woolly rhino. We're not exactly even sure what specific species it is, and if I guess they didn't find a complete skeleton, they might not even know themselves. Could be a huge guess. Um, Wonder what they're excavating there. Nah, it's not really saying.
Yeah, it does tell us.
No, it doesn't. It
Oh,
just
just
says
human
animals.
and animal.
Um, that's it. Jeez, it's another one of these. We have no idea. I could try to look into it later on, but geez, at least so far it seems that they might have come into contact with hippos, woolly mammoths, and they showed us a woolly rhino tooth. I don't remember if it mentioned that they found any Eurasian cave lion skeletons in the area or certain bone fragments. I would also assume possibly maybe even Megalosaurus in the region as well.
Oh, that's a brand new article. No, it's not.
But let's see. So,
I was trying to find an update. There is no update for it.
hmm, well, I guess I'll look more into it. But thanks for joining. And from prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. This is Creature Guide Live Daily News. We're streaming on both Rumble, YouTube, and Kick. And remember that nothing is better than all animals all the time.